NASA and NOAA are gearing up for a major mission to study weather in space. 3 satellites are set to launch on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket tomorrow, and they're aiming to study the sun's influence on Earth, the moon, and beyond. And I'm happy to have our chief weather, climate, and science correspondent, Ginger Zee, joining me as NASA's head of science. Nicky Fox tells us all about it. Thank you both so much for being here. So, Nicky, these 3 satellites scheduled for launch tomorrow are designed to study space weather. And the deputy director of NOAA Office of Space Weather Observations calls this mission extremely urgent. Why?
Oh, it is extremely urgent for us to actually understand what our sun is doing for us. You talk about space weather. That's really the study of everything coming from the sun and how it impacts us here on Earth. From a NASA perspective, the thing we're most concerned about is our astronaut safety, and so we're very proud to be, giving the warnings and the information for our Artemis 2 and Artemis 3 missions. For NOAA, they actually have the responsibility of doing the prediction for our civilian space here and for users here in the US. And so people that really need the information so that they can continue with their life as they are used to. So it's very important for us to understand what's coming from the sun, how it's impacting our planet. It affects things like precision agriculture, precision drilling, mining, GPS signals, spacecraft out in orbit, and of course our astronauts.
Yeah, Nicky, as a meteorologist, I was obviously so focused on the 4 lowest layers of the atmosphere, but I know this has a lot to do with the exosphere and beyond. And you don't just send satellites up there for one piece of information. You're going to be gathering so much. But what do you think is the most important information that will be collected by these satellites, and how will it be used here on Earth?
So for me, it's all about kind of the protective boundary layers. And so one of the missions, the Carruthers Geocorona Observatory, is going to be taking very precision measurements of that exosphere. So that is the final boundary between the Earth's atmosphere and deep space, and looking at how that protective kind of layer changes in response to what's coming from the sun. And this is the first time we've had a mission dedicated to doing that. So that's a really exciting thing. And then IMAP, not only measuring everything coming from the sun that's heading towards the Earth, but also has a suite of instruments that can actually create maps of the heliospheric boundary. And that is the boundary that's kind of a protective bubble that the sun carves out for us with its atmosphere. It protects all of the planets, it protects our solar system as we are orbiting around the Milky Way. And it will be actually, IMAP will be able to take pretty high resolution images of the boundary that is protecting us from the intense radiation in interstellar space.
And Nicky, we take technology like GPS for granted, but you say space weather can actually disrupt that infrastructure. So how does space weather impact our lives here on Earth, and how will these missions help protect against that?
So, yeah, we do talk about GPS interruptions. Sometimes it can be just an interruption in the service. Sometimes it can be that the accuracy, which is more common, the accuracy isn't as good as you would want it. So maybe the triangle on your map is no longer on the right line for the road you're driving on. That can be an impact from space weather. So by measuring, it's kind of measuring all of the ingredients. You mentioned, the focus on terrestrial weather, and we're very used to like hurricane maps, and we measure, the wind speed, and we measure the amount of moisture in the clouds, and we put all that together and we do the predictions of hurricanes. For space weather, we're doing kind of the same thing, but we're measuring parameters that are telling us how intense a space weather event can be. So when we see a big flare on the sun, and it is actually, focused and coming towards us here on Earth, we measure those particular signatures, and then we can put it together into like a forecast and almost a map of things like where you're most likely to see aurora. That's a really great thing to see in the sky, but it also can have an effect on our power grids, on like long undersea cables, on long pipelines. And that's where you get into the issues for like these precision agriculture applications.
Yeah, and the human impact obviously so important, as is the science critical. So NASA and NOAA have obviously experienced significant staff losses due to cuts and early retirements, and funding for core research programs is on the chopping block. So are you confident that these missions will have the resources that they need?
Oh, I am absolutely confident in these missions. They are totally aligned with the administration priorities, and we're very, very excited about what they're going to do. I mean, they will be returning gold standard science on behalf of the nation. It will benefit. It has economic benefit to our industries. It has, of course, for me, it has the curiosity about the sun and how it works, and telling us more about our amazing star, as we look for habitable planets in other solar systems, in other stellar systems. That's one of our goals at NASA, searching for life elsewhere. And understanding our star really helps us understand the kind of complex relationship between a star and a neighboring planet that could actually sustain life. And so we're very excited about these missions for many reasons. But yes, they are totally aligned with administration priorities.
So, Nicky, what do you think the long-term legacy of these missions will be? And walk me through a little bit further in terms of where you see this going from here.
So, I mean, the missions will go out. They go to the L1 point. So it's about 1 million miles towards the sun from the Earth. And so they have a very unobstructed view. The Earth doesn't get in the way. The moon doesn't get in their way. They are able to really study the sun 24/7, which is extremely important for when you want to do these type of predictions. Because, if you get something blocking your imager at exactly the wrong moment, you can't take the data you need. And so they're going to be out there for a while. For IMAP, it has a 2-year prime mission, but it has a lot of fuel and a lot of ability to continue as long as they're doing great science. We would certainly expect that mission to continue. But it's also about kind of continuing the legacy. So all of our NASA missions are very interconnected. They all sort of, work to help another mission. So technology and techniques that have been on earlier missions. For IMAP, its predecessor is IBEX, the Interstellar Boundary Explorer. So that was the one that kind of proved that you can take maps of this boundary. And now IMAP is a dedicated mission to do it with really sort of unprecedented detail. I can't wait to see what comes next. NASA science, we do great science every day. And every day I wake up and I think, how am I going to get more science into space? And so, we'll take the information and we'll take the new science that IMAP and Carruthers will give us, and then that will inform, future missions. For NOAA, it is the ability to provide the real-time measurements that they need to be able to do their predictions. And so, all three of them together, we're kind of looking at every single ingredient in how the sun influences not only Earth, but the whole solar system.
All right. It's all fascinating. Ginger Zee, our chief meteorologist, NASA head of science, Nicky Fox, thank you both.